What's up? You're not ready.
I'm not.
Sorry. I did beep. What's up? It's Jan back at it again with another nerdy bookish video. This is Joey.
I'm Joey.
And we're doing our best books of 2023.
Woo!
Alright, so first of all, look at my merch. Dunkin' Butter Pecan Iced Coffee, please. Merch store link down below.
The Beatles, Abbey Road.
Outfits with Joey. How many books did you read?
I read 50.
I'm still reading. So for now, as of December 30th, my reading year does not end until December 31st, but I'm convinced that I'm not gonna read another best book. So we're filming this a day or two early. But as of now, I am at 313. And it's okay. Can you not be sad? That wasn't supposed to be a flex.
Yes, she's like,
reading is reading, okay? You're a reader even if you read one book. Even if you read half a book, you're still a reader. That goes for all of you too. Anyway.
This message was brought to you
by imposter syndrome. We have honorable mentions, which I'm gonna say like one sentence about, very brief, okay? And then we have our top 10. I ranked them from 10 to 1, and he did his top 3.
No, yeah, I just did my top 3.
So,
wait, you're doing your honorable mentions first?
Yeah, so just really quickly. Do you have honorable mentions?
You have one of them, yeah.
Oh, we're just gonna go right on into it. Oh, I guess I'll disclaim it now, as most of y'all probably know. My number 1 of the year was tied with my actual number 1 of the year. But that number 1 I am not speaking of because I'm standing in solidarity with the SMP St. Martin's Press boycott due to very violent racism by a marketing employee, very harmful to various people. So we're not talking about it, sadly. But then I thought about the book that tied, and I was like, okay, this one has more meaningful value anyway. I'll talk about it later. With all that being said, I will have the information linked down below about the boycott if you haven't heard about it already, because it took me 2 months to hear about it. So y'all need to speak the fuck up, because if it's taken this long for people to even hear about it, we need to get our shit together, y'all. Anyway, moving on to more positive notes.
Well.
Oh no!
Well.
Oh no, the first honorable mention.
The first honorable mention on my list is Matthew Perry's book.
Aww.
And I had just read it probably, what?
Like 2 weeks?
No, was it that?
It was like a week or two before he actually
It was like a
passed.
couple weeks before he passed.
Yeah.
And I've been a diehard Friends fan for most of my life. Of course, when my dad told me that he wrote a book, of course I wanted to read it.
Hold it up for the people. Have Matthew Perry in the frame with us.
Look at him.
Handsome man.
Handsome young man. Well, old man.
Dead man.
Dead. God damn it.
Ow.
I'm so sorry.
My fragile knee.
This was a really good book. This guy,
I gotta read it though,
went through some shit through his whole career. I mean, you want to talk about some bad drug addiction.
Bad. I'm gonna put a sheep in front of his face.
I mean.
Okay, brief.
Okay, yeah, brief. That's all. It was really good. It was funny at times. Audiobook's good because he reads it, obviously.
I don't have time to edit all this shit, okay?
Sorry.
First honorable mention is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. Very luscious writing. I read the second one, kind of disappointing. Still gotta read the third. I'm late to the game, but I did like this more than Strange the Dreamer. I'm so sorry for all you Strange the Dreamer lovers. I am gonna try it again now that I am like accustomed to her writing more, but I really like the plot of this with all the angels and demons and artists, oh my. And I really loved, what the fuck's her name? Susanna? Love her novella too with Mick. Is that her love interest name? She is literally me. She's like short and spunky, fierce and feisty, but also just wants to be loved. So, but that's not the main character. The main character is Karu, and she's a badass bitch, okay?
My other one is in there.
I have to talk about it later.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just gonna hold it up still. Mayfly was my second honorable mention. I really enjoyed it, but I don't know if I was gonna.
Now we have to talk about it twice.
Well, that's fine. You're going to go more into it.
Yep.
But yeah, that's my second honorable.
This is my number 2.
I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong.
I shoved this down his throat.
Yeah, so I really had no choice but to read it, but it worked out because I liked it, but not enough to put it in my top 10.
I'm shoving it down everyone else's throat too. Look at this cover. Like, come on! What doesn't scream a pleasant
Yeah, oh.
a pleasant, fun, wholesome time.
It was definitely more brutal than I was expecting it to be, so.
My next one, Stolen Tongues, one of the scariest books I've ever read. We actually buddy read this, I think, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so he read it physically, I read it on Kindle Unlimited. So fucking creepy.
That's also on my list, so
yeah,
we're just gonna go.
We're gonna move on. Black Sheep by Rachel Harrison, one of my new favorite authors I discovered this year. Not discovered, I knew about her, but I only read her this year. I read all her books that are out right now except Bad Dolls, which is a story collection that I can't find fucking anywhere. I will link the live discussion down below because this was was one of my full moon book club picks, and my discussion with Erin was very productive, very fun. I love her. That was the beginning of our friendship. So I will link that live show down below. I'll also link the vlogs to probably all of these books because I vlog every goddamn minute of my life. So I'll have all those linked down below since I'm not gonna go too in depth for any of these. Otherwise we'll be here till the new year. And then I have Nana, which I read for the book troop, Gabby's book club pick. This is also on your list, right?
It is on my list.
Okay, so I read this with Jessie and Gabby. I guess I'll link that live show down below, but this was also very unexpectedly
creepy.
Unexpected. Like,
yeah, it was
so surprising how wild this got.
Yeah, I was not expecting, especially when you're
the cover
looking
says
at
nothing.
Like, yeah, the cover does nothing for you.
But Bree from Lock Petition has been like preaching about this book. Not preaching, that was the wrong word. Praising is the word I was looking for. Close enough. But shouting from the rooftops about this book for years, and then I finally picked it up and I flew through it. It was a really fun time. Like, look at all these tabs. Look at all those tabs. And I also have this YA horror, All the Dead Lie Down. This is so underrated. If y'all like Horrid by Katrina Leno, please pick this up because I need more people to talk about this with. I honestly kind of forgot most of it, but I know there's like a lot of hair involved and like family secrets that get darker. There's also a sapphic romance. If that's a buzzword for you, here you go. And like just all the gothic vibes. I was having such a fun time with this. I flew through this as well. And then my patron, my vampy vamp, I knew it was Destiny. I had to double check, okay? Gotta fact check myself. Destiny gifted this to me, so thank you so much. I know Joey's just sitting there. I'm so sorry.
Okay, I'll just sit here and look pretty.
And you're really good at that, so. And then we have the sequel to one of my favorite YA fantasy duologies of all time, The Empress of Time. Is a sequel to The Keeper of Night by Kylie Lee Baker. This is about a half Japanese Shinigami, half British Reaper. The sequel, honestly, I think was better than the first. They're kind of equal in my opinion. I don't know, I just love it. This is another underrated duology that more people need to talk about. I picked up The Keeper of Night on a whim because it was just a book of the month pick, and I was like, ooh, Asian author, gonna pick this one, and I ended up 5-starring it, both books. Kylie Lee Baker is top tier, super underrated author. I gotta finish The Scarlet Alchemist still, but yes, The Empress of Time. Honestly, this was so hard to not put in my top 10, but another book by this author is on my top 10, so Yellowface is making it onto honorable mentions. This has so much packed into such a short book. There's a thriller aspect in this, but it's mostly like lit fic and commentary on the corruption of the publishing industry. I don't know if that's the right word. Like how corrupt it can get and how like racism is justified in several aspects. It's basically about this white woman whose Asian friend died in the beginning of the book, and then she steals her manuscript, and the manuscript is about Chinese history, and so she tries to pass it off as hers. There was just so much justification, whatever. Anyway, okay.
How fitting for what you talked about in the beginning of this video, the boycott.
Yeah, timely, relevant.
Relevant. Those are hard.
I know, words are hard. You will fly through this book, but also take your time with it because there is so much to take in just from this little book. Sorry, I'm almost done, I promise. You're making me sweat, really.
I'm just sitting here.
I know. Then we have The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. This one made me cry at the end. Gothic vibes, haunted house, historical fiction, really good. The romance is really
that
good.
one. I was like, aren't you reading horror?
I can't wait to read Vampires of El Norte as well. The Villa, I read in a total of 6 hours. I was so pissed that I had to work the day I started this book. It has Daisy Jones vibes. This is another like historical gothic thriller. Rachel Hawkins, I hated The Wife Upstairs. Reckless Girls was good on audio, but this, a lot of people hated this one, but I ate it up. My only gripe was that it took place in the summer and not the fall. Vicious by V.E. Schwab. Read this in 24 hours for a Patreon readathon. Loved it. I love V.E. Schwab, y'all know. I'm trying to read their entire backlist. Late to the game to this one, but it was everything. Everything. If you like superhero stories, even if you don't like superhero stories like me, this one was really freaking good. And the chapters, extremely short. So there you go. Last in my runner-up is Hellbent. I know. Calm down. I said in January when I read this book that I knew this was gonna be in my top 10, okay? Yes, it's in my honorable mentions because a BIPOC author knocked her off the list, okay? But this was really good and it had something unexpected in terms of my favorite fantastical element. I don't want to spoil things. I just love the setting. I love the writing. This was 10 times better than Ninth House in my opinion. Katie actually had this in her worst books and she said that it didn't drive the plot in any way, and now I can kind of see that, but I didn't really care. I still had a really fun time and I flew through this. I read this in like 4 days. It was fantastic and I felt so good reading it the month it came out. And I also have the red edition. Really didn't need it, but obviously you need to read Ninth House before this. But I think if you're struggling through Ninth House at any point, please push through because Hellbent is way better. Okay, now now we're actually in my top 10, but Joey first.
Well, I'm just gonna start off with the two that you guys already heard about.
Okay.
Nana, she was going on and on about this book and told me that I would really like it, and I loved it. This book was so fucking unexpected. And once you figure out what the hell's going on, it gets even better from there. Only gripe I had about this book was the ending.
Yeah.
The ending was very anticlimactic, but...
Yeah, that's why it's a runner-up for me.
Yeah.
If the ending was... Same with Stolen Tongues, though.
Yeah.
The ending was flat.
Yeah, you're right.
Which is his next book anyway, so...
Yeah, so I'll just fucking bust this out. Yeah, Stolen Tongues. Yeah, just like she said, the ending was kind of boring, but I read a lot of strictly horror and extreme horror, and this book creeped me the fuck out. I was reading this, I'm like, oh my god, like I literally had like goosebumps at points.
I was like looking over my shoulder and shit. I was like, I could not read this book
like,
by myself.
The writing was so good in this book, and it really freaked you out reading it. Yeah, if you want something that'll really make you feel paranoid while reading, fucking read Stolen Tongues. This book was fucking awesome.
Yeah, we proceeded to go to a cabin getaway anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 10. Okay, this is the one that knocked out Hellbent. I debated on this for months, but I can't stop thinking about it. Sing Me to Sleep by Gabby Burton. This is the Fairy Loot edition. So pretty, so pretty. Also have good memories attached to this because I finished the last like 50 pages or so on my birthday, so I'll link my birthday vlog down below. This was so surprising to me because it was 5 stars despite the fact that it revolves around water and sirens, and I am not a sirens water involved book girly until this book. And then it got me on a kick and I was like reading Daughter of the Pirate King. Like I wanted all these fucking water books. The only thing about this one was that she really loved her little sister. And she just like would not let you forget. It was like just too much. She was doing way too much. But
basically, Jen is incapable of love.
she was like anything for, I think Rain was her little sister's name. And like she just kept repeating the phrase anything for Rain, and it was just kind of annoying at some points. There were also some on the nose parts about the pandemic and things like that, which I wasn't a fan of because like really can't be any more subtle. The plot was riveting. Social commentary was good. Commentary on racism was good. The romance could have been better, but overall 5 stars. Can't wait for the next one. Okay.
And next, one of my favorite authors, Jack Ketchum, Only Child. And this one was really weird because I can never remember. There's Stranglehold and then there's Only Child, and I think Only Child was just like an extended version of Stranglehold is what I came to realize. This book was just really well written. It's all about a mother leaving an abusive relationship and this dude like just beat the piss out of her. And
so good.
You know what I mean? I didn't mean like that. Come on, don't do that to me. It was really well written, and I flew.
Yeah, you read it in like 2 days.
Literally. Like the wording's like really, you can't even see that, it's too bright. But it's like really big font and the margins are big and
don't discredit.
Anywho, it was really good.
He read it in like 2 days.
It's not even just about like the violence of like, everything that's going on here. It's just written really well. And the fear that they had of this guy.
Captivating.
Yes, to say the least.
I keep forgetting that he read it because he read it so fast. Fast as fuck, boy.
Fast as fuck, boy.
Alright, number 9 on my list is You Again.
I am sweating. Tits are sweating.
You Again by Kate Goldbeck. This was such a delight to read. Like, I was live, laugh, loving. So it took me a while to read this because I put it down after like 20 something pages. I don't know why. I do it a lot. No one is surprised. This is very Gilmore Girls, Lorelai specifically, coded. The main character has the banter of Lorelai, and then the guy is like this cinnamon roll who just wants love and wants to be loved, and he cooked, and she's a comedian. They had their little meet cute moment and they were like hating on each other, and then they kept meeting. It's like normal people but less melancholy because you follow them throughout like years and years of like finding each other at random places, and then of course finally they get together and it's so fucking cute. The first kiss scene was one of my favorite first kiss scenes I've ever read. It takes place in New York in the autumnal season into the holidays. It's everything. You will swoon and you will laugh. It's so good. Okay, go on. Proceed.
Next, Pen Pal by Dathan Auerbach. This book was trippy as fuck. You're basically going back into this guy's childhood and he's trying to figure out why certain things happened to him as a kid. I don't remember all of the details to this, but all I do remember is...
Hold it up.
What I do remember is every chapter ended with a cliffhanger. And
I love those.
And so it was like, okay, what the fuck is about to happen next?
And then
like you had to just keep reading because each chapter ended so well.
I think I'm gonna do a books, like reading Joey's books vlog, and I want to read that one.
She started it at one point, but
I started on Halloween, so I was distracted because we were at his aunt's house, but I will read that one, and Wasp Factory and Old Country.
Each chapter completes a different piece, the puzzle for both you and the narrator. So you're basically figuring this this all out
together.
If you have not read Pen Pal,
so many of my friends love it too,
yeah.
so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, this was really good.
All right. Next, we have a depressing ass lit fic called Ripe. Just look at it. It's a fucking pomegranate. By Sarah Rose Etter. I have these moments while I'm at work where I just like hyper fixate on a book and then I buy it from like Pango. Then I end up loving it. And this was one of those. Also, these tabs are perfect. Okay, just take a moment. Moment taken. It says a knife to the heart in the little blurb. The ending of this was so fucking shocking to me. Like I was like, did I read that right? I literally reread it once or twice. And then I asked on my Discord to my vamps who have read it, I was like, did I read that correctly? And they're like, yeah. But this is commentary on toxic work environments, the lack of work-life balance. Takes place in Silicon Valley, follows this woman who left her old life, left her family, lives alone, and works at Silicon Valley for this company who just doesn't give a shit about their employees and how they treat them, and then all these tasks that they make them perform that they don't want to do, but they're getting paid to do those things, and it's just like morally gray, I guess. It talks about anxiety and depression, but like metaphorically, like there's this whole thing with a dark hole, a black hole, like you see this every now and then. Page with just a black hole. Also, what I really liked about this is that every chapter starts with a definition of a word that like encompasses the theme of what you're about to read. Super quick. I read this in like 2 days as well, and like I said, the ending was everything, and it's so relatable. Even just working in retail for 7 years, like the shit was so relatable. So if you've ever worked at a job that you were not a fan of, you'll probably enjoy this book.
Next on this happy train of books is Son of the Slob, the sequel to The Slob by Aaron Beauregard. Getting better at that. And I'll be honest, this started off a little slow because it continues on.
Hold up.
It continues from the first book, obviously, and a big chunk of it is about her trying to get back to her normal life and recovering from the brutal shit that she experienced in the first book. But now, this is her fucking kid. Look at that creepy little fucker.
You gotta block her faces.
She had it because the guy that attacked her in the first book impregnated her, and now she's...
I hate that you said that word. Why did you say that word?
What else am I supposed to say? Put a baby in her?
Ew. Knocked her up?
Knocked
like the
her
kids
up.
these days, maybe?
So she gives birth to this creepy little fucker, and he's basically just exactly like his dad, and as he gets older, he starts to be more and more like his actual dad, and this shit is gross. I even made a TikTok where I was reading a small little snippet of this.
And that's how they became friends.
And now I'm friends with Aaron Beauregard on TikTok, so I'm not trying to brag or anything, but yeah. If you like extreme horror and just gross shit, Mr. Beauregard is the one to read. Next,
again on this happy train. Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This is my one nonfiction that I have on this list. This is a memoir. I actually read it at a very depressing time too. So...
Oh, is that?
Yeah. I have successfully read at least one nonfiction a month this year. Hold the applause, I know. This is pretty backlisted as well, but I finally picked it up because it was on my 12 Recs by 12 friends, so thank you to whoever recommended this to me. I totally forgot, I'm so sorry. This was hard to fucking read. Like, I didn't even annotate because the audiobook was so good to listen to because it's obviously narrated by Chanel Miller herself, and you could just hear the emotion in her voice and just like the pain, how much the situation broke her, and it's so fucking sad. So obviously trigger warnings for SA and rape. It's a lot, like constant triggers, okay? So I will definitely reread it physically and annotate it. Also, this cover, it looks like nothing, right? But these gold lines, you know that, fuck, I forgot what it's called. I don't want to misinform. Hold on. Oh my god, it says it on the thing. It says, a note on the jacket. The gold veins on the cover represent the Japanese art of kintsugi, golden repair in which pieces of broken pottery are mended with powdered gold and lacquer rather than treating the breaks as blemishes to conceal.
Cool.
The technique shows us that although an object cannot be returned to its original state, fragments can be made whole again. Like, can you?
That's kind of cool.
Isn't that so fucking deep?
That's cool.
Like, that just reading that out loud just almost made me tear up.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because it represents her being broken. Yeah. And then instead of mending it, you just fill it with gold.
Yeah.
Like, how fucking...
That's cool.
I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps. Cool, I'm so glad it was in there because I would have fucked that up so hard. So that's the type of shit that you... Like, not only was the story just like, you know, it hits you in the feels and everywhere it hurts, but the writing is really fucking good. Like, the amount of quotes I want to highlight in this book is astronomical. Highly recommend. But also, don't read it if you get triggered because it's a lot. And read it when you're in a good mental state.
Next, Pigs.
Oh, I love this one too.
By Wade H. Garrett. We read this on a Unmuted and Unhinged, and holy fuck, look what I just pulled from the carpet.
But it's a hairball. Ew.
Look at that.
Ew.
Anyway, my nose is itchy.
Okay, just pick your nose.
We read this for Unmuted and Unhinged.
Which is a perk on Patreon. My Patreon link is down below, always. We're called The Blair, we're vampire themed. Please be a fellow vamp if you are so inclined.
Please. No, but basically, a couple is going to the emergency room because the wife is giving birth, and these cops pull the guy over because he's speeding, and they are refusing to let him go, take his wife to the hospital. Well, the wife ends up having to give birth, and she ends up dying, and so does the child. So now this guy is seeking revenge on 3 cops that basically stopped him from being able to save his wife. And this shit fucking brutal.
I looked at this and I was like, sorry, continue. Go
The
ahead.
shit that he did to these guys, oh my god. I mean, we were reading this and we were like,
It was crazy.
I mean, he just obliterates these 3 dudes.
Yeah, so don't let the stupid cover fool you.
Yeah, the cover is really, I mean, it's cool, but it just looks
But
very
it makes
low
you
budget.
think, it makes you think the cops are the heroes in this story. It's not. It's not propaganda, I promise. It's revenge on the cops.
How really?
Yeah, I
That's
thought
what
it was like I didn't read the synopsis when you chose it.
Oh, I read this inside.
No, I saw it and I was like, really? Of course you're choosing cop book.
But listen, if you guys knew anything about me in the past year, I picked it because I thought it'd be entertaining regardless of my situation.
Your choices.
My choices in life. But this was just for the pure entertainment of the brutalness. It was fun. And she even enjoyed it.
Yeah, I gave it 5 stars actually.
Which I was really shocked.
It was so good.
But yeah, this book was awesome. It was really fun to read.
Okay, this one made me sob harder than I've ever sobbed over a book. Don't look! You're spoiling yourself!
I didn't.
Oh, you can see the books. Never mind. Pack Up the Moon by Kristen Higgins. Oh my god, I will link the vlog down below even if it kills me because I'm not gonna do the whole like take the clip and insert it here. I don't have time for that, okay? It's the end of the fucking year. He came home one day and I was reading this and I was like on the floor.
Oh, this fucking
I was a
book.
puddle.
Oh my god. First of all,
it took me months.
I'm just tired of hearing the name of this book. There's just a certain amount of books where she'll read them and space them throughout the entire year, and she talks about them in every fucking video. And so I just get tired of hearing the title. This is one of those books because it took her so fucking long to read, mainly because of the time that she chose to read it. Right? Wasn't that in the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
Rough beginning of the year. But yeah, I remember I came home and she was just a fucking wreck.
I was like, I'm gonna finish this today, and I was like, oh no, oh no. If you know anything about me, significant just thinking about it is making me cry. Oh my god. Significant others die.
This is not a laughing moment, goddammit.
I had to melt down. Significant others dying in books. I just need to laugh through the pain. Is like my biggest, what am I trying to say? Like the saddest thing for me ever. Like it will get me every single time. I don't care if I hate that character. If it's a significant other, I'm fucking crying. You should have seen me watching A Man Called Otto last night.
Oh my god.
That was the second time. I knew how to end it, okay? And I read the book, so I double knew how it ended. And I still fucking sobbed. Anyway, this is about this couple. The wife has a terminal illness, and I believe she's already dead by the beginning of the book. And then it just like flashes back and forth. She left... This is another thing that gets me every time, is not only did the significant other die, but she left letters for him to read after her death, okay? Letters after death, whether it's like intentionally left, whether they find it eventually, letters after death in general, just fucking get me. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just the handwriting and like the... Oh my god, anyway. She left him letters on like how to move on, and like she gave them to her best friend to give to him once a month, and she wrote 12. For the first year that he spends without her, he has to read 1 per month, and it's like telling him tasks, telling him what to do to move on, and one of them is obviously like kiss someone else, you know, like be with someone else who will love you as much, and like do something new, like shit like that, okay? Every single page.
I mean, look at the tabs in that fucking book.
Every single page I was tearing up, okay, for the most part.
That's gotta be your most tabbed book.
No, Babel still is.
Really?
Yeah, but every page that a letter was on, I was in tears. I don't even have a key. Do I have a key? Oh, there it is. Okay, so sad is blue.
There's a lot of blue.
And the ending was really good. It went the way I predicted, but you know, it's a fucking romance. Like, obviously I'm gonna predict it, but it almost didn't go that way. And then I was like, are you fucking serious? And then it did, and I was like, all right, we're cool.
How much of a romance is this?
It's a sad romance. I mean, it's a romance because it's a happy ending. So that's what classifies a romance. But like, it's a romance because it flashes back to like when they were still together, and then it makes the letters make sense because it, you know, talks about their moments and stuff. And
maybe that'll be my first romance.
Shut up. Really?
Maybe that will, yeah.
Oh my god.
Maybe that one. Because
you heard it here first,
because
folks.
It almost kind of sounds like the bits and pieces in A Man Called Otto.
Yeah.
Where it's flashing back to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to see if I'll tear up at all.
You're gonna read this despite hearing the name all the time?
Yeah, yeah. I'm considering it. Nothing's set in stone yet, okay, people?
I'm taking it as a confirmation.
You heard nothing else.
I literally heard nothing after that'll be the first romance I read. I didn't even hear the maybe. Okay, this is probably the best extreme horror that I read all year, probably to date. And it's Broken Dolls by McKay. Damn, McKay.
McKay
Bestie.
fucking broke boundaries in this book.
Broke dolls.
I broke dolls, boundaries, lives.
The internet?
The internet, yes, because people did not like this book. Because, I mean, he went places that I was never expecting to read in a fucking book. I read this at work, I think literally in one sitting when I was doing security. It's only 130 something pages. But the entire time, my mouth was just like, I can't believe I'm fucking reading this right now. McKay, I don't know if you're gonna watch this or not. Hi.
Big fan.
I'm a big fan. Who gifted me
I think
the
it was
other
Destiny.
one? Deliverance?
Yeah, I think it was Destiny.
Yeah. So somebody gifted me your other book, which I still have yet to read, but I'm going to. But dude, nice job.
We bow down to McKay.
This shit was insane. I mean,
I'm not gonna read that book.
This is not. I mean, if any of you have read like Dead Inside, like that was like up to this point, that was like the worst I ever read. This knocked it out of the water. I mean, this book was beyond fucked up. So
yeah,
yes.
I will not be reading that, McKay, and I'm sure you're okay with that, but I will be reading them.
Oh yeah, that was the first one. That was awesome, but that one did more. Oh my god, you're not kidding. Holy shit.
Speaking of my most tabbed book.
It doesn't even do it justice.
Just trust me, okay? Babel.
We would never lie to you.
This took me also a year, almost,
literally,
to finish. I did this whole, like, secret project. It wasn't even a vlog in itself or anything. It was just, like, it was a challenge to myself to, like, read this only in coffee shops because I needed to be in the dark academia vibe. I needed to be in a dark academia outfit. I needed to be Babel, okay? It helped. It really helped because that really put me there. I was sipping on my coffee. I was an Oxford student.
Oxford student.
It worked. I really had to take this one slowly because it had so much world building with all this like silver shit, and like I literally had to ask friends like Sid and Noelle, couldn't have done it without you. They had to explain to They had to explain to me, where's my dog ear? Yes, I dog-eared this book, okay? They had to explain to me the magic system and how the silver worked with the languages and the translations and shit. And then after they explained it to me, I wrote out this, like a page of what they explained to me.
Is that the dog ear there?
There's a bunch of them. Anyway, this took me to places, to many different places. There's like a thrillery aspect in like part 3 or so, which I wasn't expecting, but just like the research that went into this, unmatched. Unmatched. Like, how do you even...
Wasn't she in like grad school too?
I think so.
She wrote this?
Literally one of the smartest authors I've ever come across. I'm just in awe, like just thinking about the shit I read in this. Like, all the like linguistics. On top of that, it's also fantasy. So like, not only is she doing all this research on like history and shit, but also adding a world with like its own magic system and shit. Seriously, another one. Bow down. This is incredible. It did... I was gonna say it did drag for a little bit. It really didn't. I think I just dragged. But like, once I was reading it, I was in it. I was never bored. It read like a textbook sometimes, but I was never bored. The only thing is I wish there were no footnotes because that's always a negative for me, but it's fine. Still 5 stars.
Next up.
How do you have 2 and then I have 4?
Because you have another one of mine.
Oh, okay.
Nosferatu by Joe Hill. And this was the longest book I read. Whoop-de-whoop there.
Yippee-ki-yay, as Christina would say.
This book was fucking cool. I read it with the audiobook, and the audiobook made it that much better because the narrator, she did the voice for Charles Minks, the main villain in this, and she did his voice really creepy. It was just an overall really cool story. It didn't drag on like I thought it was going to, especially for having almost 700 pages. It kept my interest the entire time, and it was just a really cool concept.
I still want to read that for sure.
And I love this cover.
Also, I meant to mention, after finishing this, I felt way more accomplished finishing this than like getting my degree. Like, I felt like I went through a semester of school. After reading this, I felt like I could literally cure cancer. Like, I could conquer the world, run a marathon. It was everything. And then I think this is what started my love for chunky books. So now I think I can officially say I'm a fantasy girly, especially because my number 1 is a fantasy. But anyway, number 4 is A History of Fear.
Number 4?
Yeah, number 4.
Wow.
I need more people to read this book, okay? This is so underrated. I think I'm getting more and more people to read it, so I'm very happy about that. So thank you to anyone who's read this because of me. Please let me know if you picked this up because of me, because
I was kind of forced into it, but...
Yeah, exactly. Because it makes me happy when people pick books up because of me. Especially books that not a lot of people have talked about. The only people I know who've read this were Kayla and Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction.
And Joey.
And Joey. And a couple of my vampies. And everyone has liked it so far. I think Kayla, of course, I think she gave it 3 stars. But, you know, we have opposite tastes, so I'm not even... I'm not even worried, okay? But 5 stars, it's set in Edinburgh. Dark academia, I've talked about this too many times. I'll link the vlog down below. But basically, there's this guy who has satanophobia, but he has to help write about the devil alongside this other guy. And then we know from the beginning that he murdered this other guy named Liam. I almost said Lucas. So you know that from the start. So if you like The Secret History, I think you'd like this, because in the beginning of The Secret History, you know someone was murdered, but you don't know who. This, you know who, but you don't know if it's him or if the devil made him do it.
Dun, dun.
But he's also scared of the devil. And then the ending, literally to the last letter. When I say the last letter, I mean the letter, okay? It will, fuck you up a little bit.
Okay, so this is my number 2.
Wait, oh.
Yeah.
Wow, that worked out perfectly.
I know, it really did. Like I said, she made me read this because she would not stop.
Yeah.
And what's funny is she's had this face out on her shelves since I've fucking met her. It's always like...
No, I bought that with you.
Well, whatever. I always thought the cover was just so cool. The blue blood spatter and...
I should have read this way earlier in the year because it was on my 23 for 2023. And I was like, I'm not going to regret this. I should just read it.
And so I kept asking if she's read it. She said no. I just had a feeling about this book. And then when she read it and loved it, I was like, all right, fine. I'll push aside the books I want to read and just kind of go on to this one.
And I asked him several times. I was like, can I spoil you already? Like, are you really going to read it? Like, I want to spoil you. And then he was like, no, I'm fucking reading it, shut up.
And I was like in kind of like a reading slump at the time I was reading this, so it took me longer than I expected. And I think that's why I wasn't really digging it at first. But then the more I read it, the more I got into it. And she's not wrong until the very last fucking word. You're like, oh, fuck. Yeah, so this book was cool. It was a loopy ride.
All right, we're gonna make this quick because we're losing daylight here.
Oh my god.
Number 3 is Adelaide by Genevieve Wheeler. I know Katie and probably a lot of people hate this cover. It really screams graphic design is my passion, but you know, it's okay. It's okay because the inside makes up for it. This also made me sob. This is probably the second top book that made me sob. How do you say that? It made me sob.
The second most
sob-worthy book.
The second mostest sobbed book.
The book that sobbed the most.
Of sobbing. The book for a book.
Secondly. To me. Please! Okay. Anyway, this is another messy 20s lit fic. It was so relatable in so many, again, another really highly tabbed book. Just if you've ever been in a situationship. If you liked Acts of Desperation, what was that other book that I really liked?
Fourth one.
Then you know, it's just one of those where you're following this girl, Adelaide, obviously, who goes through a bunch of guys, goes through a bunch of just emotional roller coasters. Yeah, it's really sad because again, she's just another character who just wants to be loved and wants to love and has so much love to give and no one to give it to, and it's just really fucking sad. I sobbed at the end because the character growth is there, my dudes. It is there.
And my number 1 of the year is Old Country
which I'm gonna read next month.
By Matt Quarry and Harrison Quarry. Oh, I didn't even realize that they were related.
Are they siblings?
They must be.
Are they partners?
Or that, I'm not sure. Anywho, this book I got in the beginning of the year. I found a horror subscription box that came from the UK, and they would send you like snackies and...
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
Abominable Book Club.
Abominable Book Club, that was it.
You should do that.
And I did like I think like a 6-month trial or something like that. And this was one of the books that came in.
I think it was 3. You keep saying 6.
Yeah,
I think it was like 3. Anyway, regardless.
We're getting off track here.
Sorry.
But this book, after I got it, she told me that she heard a bunch of people were reading it. For some reason, it just did nothing for me. It didn't catch me. And so I finally caved and I read it. And this book was fucking wild.
Jordan liked it.
It's creepy as hell. Like, it's about this couple that moves into the Grand Teton area. There's this Native American folklore. There's all these spirits that come out every season. There's a different one, and there's certain ways that they have to handle it. They just keep getting more and more. It starts off like very subtle, and then the next season is a little more intense. And then winter, there usually isn't one, but for the main guy, there is one because of his past. And this book was creepy as fuck. The fall one was really creepy too. I think you'll like the fall one. I keep telling her she needs to read this.
I put it on my 24 for 2020.
I can't stop thinking about this book. This book was fantastic. It was another one I read really fast and really stiff.
Because it's a UK edition.
And that's it for me.
Well, I still have 2. Yeah. I don't know how that happened.
Well, because I did my first 2.
Oh yeah.
Because they were your honorable mentions.
Oh yeah. Okay, well this one we already held up, but may fly again. No one's surprised that this is my number 2. Okay, so a lot of people are describing this as American Psycho for the girlies, but I can't make that comparison because I haven't consumed American Psycho in any format. But this is like Disney Princess, but make it serial killer.
It's Disney adults unhinged.
Elsa by day, Patrick Bateman by night.
Exactly.
But I don't know what that means because I haven't watched American Psycho.
Which it's such a good movie.
There's a mouse scene in this, and I still loved
God.
it. The mouse scene lives rent-free in my fucking head.
I forgot about that.
Like, literally just living lavishly in my head.
And she kept telling me, wait till you get to the mouse scene. And I got to the mouse scene, and I was like...
And the eyeball scene, this all makes sense at one point, and you're just like, wow, that cover is extra stunning now. Curling iron.
Oh god, the curling iron.
Yep. It starts off kind of slow, I guess. I still flew through this. I'll link that vlog down below too. I read this and Stolen Tongues in the same vlog. Perfect. Oh, I've talked everyone's ears off about this book, so we're just gonna move on to my number 1, which I've also talked everyone's ears off about, but here we go again.
Fourth Wing. What Fourth Wing wishes it was.
What Fourth Wing wishes it was. Literally. I'm so glad I read this before Fourth Wing. Actually, it wouldn't have mattered.
Well, you got Fourth Wing and that around the same time.
And I started
Fourth Wing, yeah. And then you started that and you're like, well, this is way
what
better.
I need. Oh my god, like again, look at that. The tabs are perfect, matches perfectly. Anyway, okay, so Olivia Rose Darling has watched my videos, first of all. So hopefully she watches this one. Hello, number 1, thank you very much. I actually messaged her, I was like, listen, you're number 1. But
you're number 1.
But she also sent me a second copy because she had like an updated, like revised edition, and so I was reading them in like tandem because I already started annotating this one, and then I got the new one and I was reading them in tandem because I was already annotating this one. It was just a mess, but when I do my reread, it'll be the new one. And then she got traditionally published. So proud of her. Made a connection with her, made a friendship with her. We follow each other on Instagram. We talk every now and then. We're gonna buddy read in the future when she has time because she has books to write. With all that being said, besides my subtle flexing, that's my reasoning behind making this my number 1 as opposed to the one it was tied with. If you like dragon books.
Dragon books.
I love dragon tales. Yeah, this was my dragon lover awakening. This has found family, which I usually don't like, but Olivia Rose Darling did it, nailed it. And the platonic male-female friendship, exquisite. Okay, the steamy scenes, so fucking good. There's a bakery scene that's so wholesome. I just could not stop smiling. I can't wait to reread this. I can't wait to read the sequel. Here are the flames. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Jody, for putting this on my radar, because she's the one who I first heard about this from, because she read like a beta copy, like a super early copy. Olivia Rose Darling, super fucking sweet. She is darling. She is the darling of darlings. When I started this book, I was so scared. I was gonna be so confused because, like, you know, I was just entering my fantasy girly era. I hate that I just said that, but I couldn't think of another word. I'll say it one more time in 2023
okay,
before.
I'm in a bagel era.
Joey's in his bagel era. But yes, we'll let it die in 2023, hopefully. That phrase, not the bagel era.
Oh.
Hope I wish many more bagels in your future.
Many more bagels in my future.
But I thought I was gonna be really confused. But when I was like 60 pages in and I was still following, I knew. I just knew this is the book for me. It's like 600 pages, but I was thriving on every single page. I will reread this book and I will devour it every second. I was in. I loved every character. Saskia, Caden. Y'all know, if you've been watching me for a while, I'm not a big like, oh, that's my book boyfriend type of gal, you know? Caden's my book boyfriend. Okay. Okay? And this is my bookish boyfriend. Like a fictional book boyfriend, Caden. Caden is the love of my fictional life. Listen, the real life is what matters.
Listen.
That's all. We are ending it there.
That's the year.
If you made it to the end of this video, what emoji should we put? Put a bagel emoji in the comments.
A bagel
Is there a bagel emoji?
I'm sure there is.
If there's not, put a donut emoji. Bagel or donut?
There is.
There's bagel emoji!
Put the freaking bagel. I don't know what it is. It took me 29 years to start liking bagels and cream cheese. I don't know. They say your taste buds change and evolve over time. So I'm in my bagel era.
Put the bagel emoji in the comments down below.
Yeah.
If you liked any of these, any of them made it to your top 10, let me know in the comments as well.
Also, don't be afraid to let me know what you want me to read. Horror-based, please.
Or romance.
Well,
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for letting Joey join the fun.
thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks, Jen.
Hope you had a vampy day.
Do some self-care today.
And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.
We will see you.